So good morning and welcome to Ballsbridge. How many locals do we have here? How many Irish folks? Okay, so that's pretty good. We got to take a quick survey because I've been watching the shirts roll in. How many people were at the first DPDK Summit Userspace event? I've seen some of the original black t-shirts. Okay. How many were at the second? I saw some of the black hoodies. And how many were at the one last year? Okay, so that's a pretty good population. How many people have been to every one in Dublin? Not so many, but we'll keep. So your challenge is to keep that going, and 10 years from now, we'll have a fantastic prize for the last person who's been to every one. Not really. So I'm Jim St. Ledger. I'm here to kick off our day, share a few thoughts and ideas from you. I chair the DPDK Project Governing Board, so they give me a few minutes up here. So thank you for listening for that. We're going to start off, if the slides advance. Let's try again. Are we clicking on? There we go. Okay, so we have to rearrange the seats right now. Limerick fans have to sit over here. Galway fans, so sorry, you got to sit over here. Sit out in the hall. For those of you who don't know, what's GAA? Gaelic Athletic Association? Something like that. Their All-Ireland hurling championship was 3 weeks ago, roughly. And Intel has an office in Shannon, and I often stay in Limerick, so not that I have a warm spot in my heart for any city, but I've spent enough time in Limerick to have a little allegiance to there. And where's Mike Glynn? Mike Glynn and I had a little bet because he was back in Galway. I backed Limerick, and the rare opportunity that I came out ahead of Mike, that was fantastic. The other thing I'd like to thank, because we have a cornerstone in this project, a lot of our folks from France. So we're Thomas and Franck and others. Congratulations. Fantastic World Cup. I will admit, I'm a big underdog fan, so in the beginning it was Iceland all the way. That dropped off fast, but Croatia hung in there to make it very interesting. So thank you for the entertainment on that side of the world. I'm still not clicking, but let's see. We'll try again. Here we go. Okay. These events, as you guys, anyone who's been in the past has been through our conversations on how we fund and support these things. And the project has come together with the members to help create a pool of money to put these events on around the world. And then beyond that, we have sponsors that step up. So I'd like to take a moment to thank the folks from Intel and the folks from ARM for chipping in for this. So maybe a round of applause for them. And the other thing I'd add, of course, is that this is a volunteer-run event. So people like Tim O'Driscoll, who was tremendously active in organizing things. Thanks to Tim, there's a whole team of members from the tech board and the community who come together to review abstracts and have discussions on prioritizing things. So when you see those guys throughout the day, please thank them as well. They really help make this event happen, plus other events happen. Just a quick review on our governing board and the company representatives in here. There's a few folks in here I'll sort of go through quickly. Bob Monkman, if you could raise your hand. So Bob's here representing ARM. Is Jaron in the room yet? I didn't see him yet, but he'll be here lately. He's a current rep on the tech board. Erez, here in the front, from Mellanox on the board. And I think the only other person is George. Where's George? I saw George Zhao from Huawei is representing our silver memberships. So these are the folks who help drive the overall high-level direction of the project, the non-technical direction. And of course, your technical board, are all the tech board reps here? Tomas here, Konstantin here, who else is here? Okay, Bruce is here, Stephen is here, I haven't seen you. Who else from the tech board? Okay, so these are your guys to find when you have complaints about the technical direction of the project. The governing board are the guys to find when you have complaints about why we don't have better coffee, okay? So that's your order of things here. And these are the guys, though, that help give the extra time to keep things going from the technical side and the governing side, so thanks to them as well. Okay, the one other thing I'd like to say, and those of you who've been to enough of these hear this from me almost every year, if you work for a company that isn't a member of the project, I would really appreciate if you'd go back when you get home and talk to some of your management about coughing up a little bit of money and saying, hey, you know what, let's step up and join the project. Because this project moves forward only through contributions, mostly through the membership from a financial perspective. You know, everything we do costs some amount of money, whether it's developers' time or putting on events like this or hosting labs or other things we do that we'll talk about in a minute. So please take that message back to your home office if you can. You can reach out to myself. I should introduce Trishan. Trishan, you can raise your hand. So Trishan works for the Linux Foundation. He's our program manager. He tries to stitch all of this together from the tech board side to the governing board side to the Linux Foundation side, plus a lot of other work we do with other projects like FIDO and OPNFV and Open vSwitch and on down the line. And he also helps coordinate things for us on a global basis. So if you want anyone to talk to, any of the folks on the governing board, any of the folks on the tech board, or Trishan can help you have a conversation about membership. I'd really appreciate that, as would everybody else in the project. Okay, I want to take a minute to talk about project growth. So thanks to the folks in the seats here, plus a bunch of the folks who weren't able to make it today, this project has a fantastic trajectory. How many people worked on 1805? So those of you who do remember the slog that was this giant bump up here, single largest DPDK release ever. And then we were smart enough actually to say, hey, the August time frame for our next release, we need to do it early in August, and we need to keep it small because that's summer holiday period, which is why you'll see the August release always drop down. But the trajectory of the project is clearly up and to the right, which is good. Anybody in marketing says all slides go up and to the right, except for salary and budgets. So the trajectory is great. The number of contributors in the project are fantastic as well. The top one sort of paints a little bit of the historical history on how it went from just being a x86 project to additional NICs and controllers, to additional architectures, to today we're building things out like crypto dev for multiple crypto solutions in the marketplace, from NXP and Cavium and Intel and many other folks out there. So it's great to see. I think there's more of that coming. Those of you who have watched DPDK get consumed by everybody from Microsoft Azure to Alibaba and Amazon and AT&T and others have seen where their needs for this multi-architecture support is fundamental in their willingness to adopt open source code. So please do keep up the great work there. And I would hope that everybody else who has contributed to these things is quite proud of their work because the impact's been pretty huge in the marketplace. If you want to see a breakdown on the stats, this is across all the different releases, the little microcharts here, and all these slides will get posted later so you can look at them. But it'll show just the number of companies and the number of people that continue to step up. So again, these are great stats to really help showcase the strength and breadth and growth of the project. DPDK Open Lab. So we've been talking about this for probably a year and a half, maybe almost upwards of 2 years, I suppose, if you go all the way back to the original. Hey, we'd really like to have some kind of performance lab. It's making progress. Do we have anybody from University of New Hampshire here? Okay, so these are our two experts that I haven't met yet, so good morning. They can tell us, I guess, more of the hands-on, where things are at the lab. What I would ask from here, I'm not going to go through the slide, but find these two guys later on. And what I also need is some volunteers. So our progress in the lab has been slower than I think almost everybody would like. But the pace of the progress is really driven by people in this community to go and work with the ONH folks to really step it up and drive that forward more aggressively. So if you're looking for a big challenge, if you've got a little bit of bandwidth to want to take that on and drive a test project out, please step up. You know, connect with these guys, connect with some of the folks from the tech board, connect with Tim O'Driscoll or John Mack, folks who have been involved in this. Thomas, I know, has been involved in others. And really, let's start that conversation. We'd like to accelerate the pace of what this lab is doing. We continue to hear from people using DPDK that having some performance metrics in a lab out there. And I will say, those of you familiar with the FIDO project, their CSIT, that I don't know if Damien's involved, but I know Maciek is the guy who's driving a lot of work behind there. That's sort of the benchmark of what we aim to copy here. So, but what we really need is someone to step up and help us do that. So we'd really like to see if somebody in this audience over the next 2 days would help us step up and do that. So please think about it. this evening, we will coerce you even more. All right, so if you'll allow me for a minute, I'm going to talk about the marketing side of the project. And I know in a technical audience, this isn't your most popular side. But one of the big things you'll see, if you haven't been to dpdk.org in a while, please go take a look. We launched a new website, was it in May, Trishan? May-ish timeframe or so. We also put out first ever DPDK press release. The Linux Foundation helped us craft something. And our goal there really was to help tell the DPDK story to a larger audience. There's lots of people in the world who have heard of it. Some know about it a little bit, and some of it are like, well, I've heard the acronym, don't even know what it stands for. So we revamped our website with a lot of people's contribution. Thomas weighed in to keep us intellectually honest on the technical side, and a bunch of other people weighed in from a standpoint of sort of a downstream consumer side of what it needs to look like for visitors who maybe aren't as technical. And I think the end result was fantastic. It really meets the needs, I think, of both sides of it, to keep the community-centric focus on where you can go to get the code front and center. And then you can scroll down on this page and see some other things, including event tabs and whatever. We used to have a separate site called dpdksummit.com where we posted event information. We've now folded that into an event tab on here, so it's really coming together well. A few other things I want to talk about. So for anybody who's a sticker fan like myself, get your DPDK stickers. I think they're in the back. Everybody got one yet? Not yet. We'll get one shortly. The other thing, and you may not care about this, but the marketing committee that we have within DPDK that Tim O'Driscoll leads and quite a few others are on, put together a piece of collateral. And I know hard copy collateral is a little bit, 1990s, but still when we go to a trade show like Open Networking Summit or something else, it's nice to have a piece of collateral to hand out to people to help promote a little bit of awareness of the project. So that's great as well. Lastly, everybody get their glass? Hold on. It's got a little ring to it. You can fill this later on with your favorite beverage of choice downstairs. I'll talk more about that in a moment. So this year we didn't do t-shirts, we didn't do hoodies, but we did do nice little glasses, etched glasses. So look for that. If you haven't got one, you can pick it up at the registration desk down the hallway. Okay, next up events-wise. So this year we will have had 4 events in total. So we started out, I think it was in March or April in Bangalore, India, with DPK Summit India. It was our second year doing that. No surprise, there's a huge software developer base in India, and that event is usually very well attended and hundreds of people. We then moved on to China in July, I think it was, or was it June? End of June, early July. In Beijing, we tied the event up there next to LinuxCon, CloudCon, was it OpenCon? I'm missing ContainerCon, that was it. So the Linux Foundation had an event there. Linus Torvalds spoke and some others, so that was a big draw, and we tied on a one-day DPDK Summit China to that. I think we had a few hundred people there. I know there were a couple of folks in the audience who were there. How many people were in China? A couple here, okay. Our good Swedish friend showed up there, so a Hungarian friend showed up there as well. They work for Ericsson, so I want to call them Swedish, but then my brain has to translate. So, and so then we'll do this event here, which is very developer-focused in Userspace, and then the last event will be in early December in San Jose. Same place it was last year, Club Autosport in San Jose. So if you want to go visit California in that time, if you're in California, or if you want to encourage your friends to go, registration is now open. The call for participation is open, and you have until October 22nd to get your abstracts in. So please start thinking about that when you hear things today. If you're working on something interesting, it's all about sharing in the community. Okay, so this week we have a 2-day agenda, and I'm not going to show you day 2. This is a snapshot of day 1, and I'll point out a couple things. You can go get this whole agenda at dpdk-2018.shed.com. This is a scheduling tool that the Linux Foundation uses across all their events. When you go in there, you'll see the schedule. You can click on each event, find out the abstract for it, find the presenter, and if the slides have been uploaded, which mine have not yet, it's because they finished this morning, you will see the presentations in there. And eventually all the presentations will be loaded into there, and you'll be able to see them from there. So that's how you can follow real time where things are happening throughout the day. The way it's set up, at least for today, we'll have longer 30-minute talks in the morning, first half of the morning, and in the first half of the afternoon while you're still a little bit fresh. And then we'll follow those up with 15-minute lightning talks after. You'll see the breaks in green. The breaks will be in the back area here. We'll have coffee, tea, light snacks, etc. You can, of course, go out both sets of double doors, get outside here. So far, it looks to be a beautiful day, so I definitely encourage a little bit of fresh air and sunshine, especially for those of you who are not living in this time zone. Lunch will be served downstairs, so if you go towards the lobby, down the stairs, take a left, same place it was last year for those of you who've been here before, so follow the crowds otherwise. And then this evening, a couple things. So before we finish, we have the first ever DPDK Community Awards. So we're pretty excited about being able to recognize some of the significant contributions from across the community. So stay tuned for that information. And then lastly, from 6 to 8 p.m., we'll have an evening reception with cocktails and light hors d'oeuvres. That'll be also same location as last year, down the hall to the stairs, just down below the stairs on the lower level. Can't miss that. Any questions? Okay. So why are we here? This event is unlike all the other events we do. This event really is about the community coming together to interact. And I want to encourage and ask everyone to interact. If you feel you're sitting in a chair being presented to, you're not engaging this event the right way. This is an interactive dialogue. Those of you who have been here for 3 years remember some of the politely contentious debates we've had over many, many topics. And I hope and expect that to continue today. To help that, we have a tossable microphone. Catch. All right, Erez, you're going to demonstrate the microphone. You can just hold this on your lap and speak into it.
Hey. Yeah.
You don't even need to hold it up. So we will have this tossable microphone. I forget, it has a name. What's the name for it?
Will it work if I throw it to the back?
Toss it to the back. Let's see. All right, so it's not quite a beach ball. The idea is to toss it around to someone who wants to speak. We also will have 2 handheld microphones. But seriously, we did this to really enable the ability for this community to interact with the presenters. If you agree on something, please raise your hand, ask for a microphone, and speak up. Ideally, if you could stand up, but you don't have to. Let's make these discussions interactive so this community can come together, build some relationships, get to know each other, and really hash through some of the challenges and topics we have at hand. Like all communities, we have enough of them for it. And of course, have some fun. You know, this evening should be fun. For those of you who do drink, a few cocktails always help lubricate things a little bit, so that's not a bad thing. And then we'll see where it goes after. It seems that there's 3 pubs down the road here that one of the 3 we usually end up with after hours as well, so we'll see where that goes. And I think is it my last slide? It is my slide, so. Any questions, any suggestions? Any other things from the audience? See, nobody's being interactive yet, so. All right, with that, I think I'm going to hand it over to Tim, who's going to kind of MC the morning, and then we'll go from there. So thank you for your time and attention, and I look forward to a fantastic next 2 days. Thanks.